Hello, and welcome to this review of the Ravenels historical romance book series by Lisa Kleypas. I'm Olivia, your new favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot, and you're watching Random Olive Reads. So, overall series overview, we have the Ravenels, which is the latest from Lisa Kleypas, published between 2015 and 2021. There are 7 books in the series that follow the lives of the Ravenel family. We start with a fresh new Earl after his cousin passes away, and then follow with all the previous Earl's sisters and the current Earl's brother. The backstory here is that the Ravenels have a fiery temper and are known as being rakes and scoundrels. We get to catch up with different characters from the Wallflower series too, as the children of the Wallflowers are now fully grown and pairing up with Ravenels. Book 1 is Cold Hearted Rake. So we meet Devin Ravenel, who has just inherited an earldom when his cousin Theo dies after being thrown off of a horse. He finds his inherited estate in massive debt, along with 3 cousins with no dowries, plus Theo's widow, Kathleen. Devin and Kathleen clash over what to do about the estate, the tenants, Theo's sisters, who all get books of their own later on. We get to learn about Kathleen and her husband's previous relationship. He had died when they were only married for like 3 days. We have Devin's history as a rake, his equally indolent brother West, and then we see these 2 hot tempered leads find their way to each other, even though Kathleen is technically still supposed to be in mourning for her dead husband. While this book does a lot of work in setting up the family members, the romance between Kathleen and Devin was only mediocre for me. However, I recommend reading this book and reading the rest of the series in order because it sets up the beginning of Helen's relationship with Reese, which is the next book, and West's physical and mental transformation from a sluggish drunk to a contributing member of the family. So then book 2 is Marrying Winterborn, and we get a little bit of backstory here, but Helen and Reese had met in the previous book when Reese is injured in an accident and Helen is sort of nursing him back to health. So Helen Ravenel has been courted and proposed to by Reese Winterborn, owner of a prestigious London department store. She awakes the day after a migraine and finds that her cousin Devon, the Earl of Trenear and head of the family, has canceled the betrothal. Helen needs to clear up this misunderstanding, and so she goes to see Reese and get her fiance back. They come to a plan that guarantees that Devon will approve the marriage. This is one of those stories where the couple gets together early on in the plot because they met in the previous book, and then have to work through the engagement period. As Helen packs up her childhood belongings, she discovers secrets about herself that she's afraid to reveal to Reese. Meanwhile, Reese is growing his London empire, learning to love something or someone other than his business. Now, those secrets are juicy and ultimately lead to Helen taking some drastic actions and Reese chasing her down and uttering some very quotable lines of dialogue. You pretty much just have to experience it for yourself. This book also introduces us to Garrett Gibson, a physician who Reese hires for his store, and develops the relationship between Reese and Helen's sister Pandora, who wants to sell a board game at his department store. This is all good stuff tying this family together. Book 3 is Devil in Spring. So now we're at Pandora Ravenel. She is completely uninterested in marriage. She plans to build her business, creating board games, and definitely is unwilling to hand over control to a husband. However, she gets herself stuck, literally, in fact, in a situation with Gabriel, the current Lord St. Vincent, and finds herself embroiled in scandal. Now, Gabriel has been successfully avoiding marriage for many years, but still tries to do the honorable thing here. After some advice from dear old dad, who is Sebastian from Devil in Winter, the previous Lord St. Vincent, and now the Duke of Kingston, the Ravenels are invited to the family house for a week. As Gabriel and Pandora get to know each other, he finds her charmingly irresistible, and she finds herself torn between wanting him and wanting to keep her independence. Of the books of the series I've read thus far, this one actually had a scene that made me laugh out loud. Pandora is my absolute favorite with her feminist ideals and outspoken nature. She speaks plainly and directly, leaving no room for misinterpretation of what she wants. Book 4 of the series is Hello Stranger, and now we're going to follow Dr. Garrett Gibson. She's the only female physician in all of England. She's employed by Mr. Winterborn, so we've seen Garrett attend to many of our favorite Ravenels. She encounters Ethan Ransom one night as she fends off attackers in a seedy neighborhood. Even though Garrett is a capable woman, Ethan offers to give Garrett some additional self defense tips. They get closer, but Ethan's busy working on some undercover, top secret case. Who knows? Garrett, who has always been fiercely independent, learns to enjoy the company of Ethan, while Ethan is continuing to delve into whatever this mysterious plot is. So the suspense plot was just okay if you're into that stuff. I kind of skimmed past it because I wasn't that interested. I enjoyed seeing Ethan be completely respectful of the well educated Garrett, and of course, someone somewhere along the way gets a life threatening injury. And we get to learn how Ethan is somehow connected to the Ravenel family. Devil's Daughter is book 5 of the series, and now we're going to meet Phoebe. Well, we actually met her in Devil in Spring. She's the older sister of Gabriel, and so Phoebe and her entire family are at the Ravenel estate for the wedding of her brother Gabriel to Pandora. So we met them, like I said, in Devil in Spring. So Phoebe is just coming out of mourning for her late husband and childhood sweetheart, and she encounters West Ravenel, who was actually her late husband's childhood bully. Okay. Well, West has matured and no longer that bullying oaf. As the estate manager at the Ravenel's house, West gives a tour of the farms to Sebastian, Phoebe, and her son, Justin, who is a lord in his own right. Since Justin is set to run his own estate when he comes of age, it would benefit Phoebe to learn about land management. So she grows closer to West in learning all of these things, but he believes he isn't worthy of her, probably because of that whole sluggish drunken thing. This book overlaps in the timeline for Devil in Spring and Hello Stranger, which I actually enjoy because I like reading the different perspectives of events that happen in common. Oh, and we get to see our beloved Sebastian being an awesome dad. This book is where you see West's transformation from book 1 pay off. You really needed to meet West as a lazy drunkard back then to appreciate how knowledgeable and responsible he is now. And the bonus is that he didn't suddenly improve himself after meeting the lady he falls in love with. His entire transformation happens before he ever meets Phoebe, showing that it was for his own sense of self worth and responsibility. Book 6 of the series is Chasing Cassandra and still kind of taking place in the same timeline as the back half of Devil in Spring, a little bit of Hello Stranger, and a little bit of Devil's Daughter. So Cassandra Ravenel did not expect that her twin sister Pandora would get married so quickly. Feeling lonely and left behind at Pandora's wedding, she encounters Tom Severin. So, Tom is a railway magnate and overall shrewd businessman. He's achieved a lot in life, especially since he grew up completely impoverished. However, he's listless, unhappy, not sure what his next goal is. And so maybe he's thinking of getting married. Upon seeing Cassandra for the first time, he decides he wants to pursue her. After talking to her, though, he realizes that she's much more than a beautiful girl, and she elicits feelings in Tom that make him uneasy. Now, he's a guy who only has 5 feelings. He doesn't want any more than that. It's too complicated. So we have our guy who is cold, unfeeling, he's a businessman, and he's learning to have feelings. And then we have this very pretty, compassionate woman trying to bring it out. Now, this book has a lot of different time jumps because there's a lot of gaps in between when Cassandra and Tom actually meet and interact. And then at some point, we see Tom taking in a street urchin who then Cassandra also adores. It's actually really sweet. And the last and final book of the series is Devil in Disguise. I'm going to say up front, I don't think I saw any Ravenels in this book, so it doesn't really fit super well with the other books in the series, aside from we see the connection to the Wallflower series. So, not sure what's happening. Anyway, Merritt Sterling, who is the daughter of Lillian and Marcus, who were the couple from It Happened One Autumn, book 2 of the Wallflower series. Now she's all grown up and widowed, and running the shipping business that her late husband left behind. Somehow she meets Keir McRae, who is a Scottish whiskey distiller, probably trying to sell his product or ship it or who knows. Well, they meet, they hit it off, they tryst. It's a good time, but Keir is somehow a target for harm. So at some point, he's attacked and loses his memory, and then needs Merritt to take care of him. And there's this ongoing joke about him being as handsome as a certain famous duke that we all know and love. So there's some sort of connection there that is yet to be uncovered. I mean, the title kind of gives it away. It's called Devil in Disguise, and our favorite devil is actually Sebastian, the Duke of Kingston. So, we find out the details in this story. So that wraps up this series review of the Ravenels. Overall, I enjoyed most of the books in the series. This last one kind of is hanging out, unrelated to the others, but still a fun read on its own. Thank you so much for watching this video. Links to all of these books are in the description box. Like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.